Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 114 of The Knife Guy. If you're new to my channel, or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet, you have no idea where you are, who I am. I'm a knife guy, knife user, knife collector, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We are, I assume, if you're watching this, we're all knife guys and gals in this super weird, crazy EDC and knife related world. And we all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same stuff. What I like to do on this series is pick up knives that are either mine or some of my generous viewers, in this case one that was sent by a retailer. Just sort of flip them, handle them, right, and talk about some of these experiences that we all share. Today is just kind of an observation. And I realize that this observation that I have made, by the way, thank you so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below. And please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. This is probably skewed because of my viewing audience, right? The people who have decided to subscribe to me and follow me on Instagram because of the knives that I show, or the not necessarily the stuff that I show, because I show everything, but the stuff that I seem to show favoritism to, right? So, for example, another knife YouTube personality. I already cringe saying YouTuber and knife YouTuber, right? But knife personality? Is that what we are? That's so weird. Another channel will have his or her own tastes, and their subscribers will likely show favoritism to them because of the designs that they are, attracted to, right? But I have noticed the knife world. So I got into this, I got into this a long time ago, but I really got into it around 2012, 13, 14, right? 2012 was when I tiptoed onto the scene. What was really, really popular then? This is the Max Ace and Midnight Cat Studios Sandstorm, and it is a hulking monstrosity. Like, this thing is so ridiculously overbuilt, right? Very popular, massively overbuilt knives, very popular. Unnecessary thickness, right? Also, what was popular, Hinder knives were, definitely still popular and arguably just as hard to get. Medford knives, also still popular, right? Crusader Forge, I think Jim Skelton. Those are a lot of the brands that made, some of them, not all of them, made the overbuilt craze, so prominent, right? And this was, I think, more prominent in the custom, like people who were going after customs were buying mega overbuilt knives, or at least that was my perspective, because Jim Skelton was the main person to watch on YouTube for knives, and he was always picking up stuff like that. I think we definitely hit a time period where those were less popular, and then but there were always designs floating around out there that were sporting these overbuilt attributes. Fast forward to 2021, this is just my opinion. Not only is it still popular, right? But I've noticed whenever I do a video where I'm when I talk about overbuilt knives, it gets a lot of views, right? It's like I talked about in that video where where we have this kind of illogical attraction to things that are our perception of them is that they are so incredibly durable that they can handle things far outside the realm of normal when it comes to what we would actually put them through, right? I don't care. I just want to know that it can withstand a blast from a landmine, right? Or some crazy stuff. It's not like I'm going to go huck my knife at a landmine, but it's, I don't think any knife would withstand that. I'm just saying we have that, right? What is it? The aesthetic, I think, is the main draw to a massively overbuilt knife. There's a lot of you guys looking at this right now thinking, that doesn't do anything for me. But I know there's a lot of you guys watching right now going, oh my God, I have to have that. You can watch the unboxing of this. I just lost my mind for it. I think these run, these aren't made in the United States. I think these run something like 400-ish. Blade stock thickness is about 1/5 of an inch. So is the titanium if you're looking at it this way, but it's actually all one piece of titanium, which makes it that much more interesting. This design has a lot of flaws. I mean, like when it comes to function of like deployment and fit and finish, it's excellent, but there's some design flaws there. But I love that because it's so ridiculous. I think there's still a massive, massive market for these ridiculously overbuilt knives. And I think a lot of companies are missing an opportunity by not catering to these folks who love this massive stuff. Tell me, you folks out there who are like me, guys, gals, whoever you are, if you're like me, when you find a massively overbuilt knife that costs, let's say anywhere from $400 to about $1,200, right? Let's say anywhere from something like this to the kind of the flagship mega overbuilt knife, the Medford Praetorian Tie. When you get it, there's something, I mean, it's the part of our brain that can't help but think stuff that is more and thick and heavy and beefy, right? Initially, right? And your mind may change down the road, right? Depends on the quality and fit and finish of all that. But that initial beefiness makes you go, oh yeah, this was worth it, right? Like it's just what the part of us is like big stuff, thick stuff, big stuff, make big money, right? Like that caveman part of our brain. There is definitely a market for that. Now, obviously, you don't need to tell me. The downside to a massively overbuilt knife is, number one, it's not going to carry super conveniently, right? It is unnecessarily thick and heavy. Number two, the thickness and the heaviness does not really add anything, you're not really adding any benefit there. You could, in some cases, maybe make an argument for durability, but not really, right? Like the blade geometry in and of itself is probably going to be really difficult to damage, but the trade-off is they're not going to cut as well. Like people say, thick knives don't cut. They do cut. They just don't cut as well as something that's got a thinner edge, right? It's never going to cut that well. You're going to make way more use day to day out of something like the Artisan Cutlery Arian than you are the Praetorian Tie or any of the other, even like the XM24. It's just going to be too much, right? At least that's my perspective. I remember Demko hinting, this is not confirmed. I don't work for or with Andrew and John Demko. They're not telling me secrets. I just remember a hint, a tumbleweed in the wind, of them tossing around the idea of making an XL version of the AD20. Oh my gosh, yeah. So this already, the AD20, right? Yeah, it's hard to get. It's rare, right? This is what I would call an overbuilt knife. We have a blade stock thickness that is about the same as the Sandstorm, right? The blades are about the same thickness. Now, the titanium thickness on the Sandstorm is much, much more intense, right? But this is still overbuilt. Definitely. I would definitely call this overbuilt. They decided to make a smaller one. The one that's about the same size as this guy, the 20.5, but still maintains the same thickness as the AD20 and blade stock thickness, I believe. And I will be picking one of those up. I want this in the AD20, full tie, full thickness, right? With that shark's foot blade. That's what I definitely want that, right? Were they to make an XL version of it, oh, my heart sings with the insanity of that. That is completely unnecessary. No one needs an XL AD20, but is it a good idea? Do we want it? I do. I don't know if I want to speak for everybody, but I do. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to say that they're going to make the blade stock. Honestly, if they did an XL, I'm just speculating. If they did an XL version of this, I'm going to guess they might make the titanium or G10, right? Because they'll have Grivery G10 and titanium versions of them if they do this. It's a big if. They might make that a little bit thicker. I don't think they would make the blade stock thicker, but if they did, I would lose my mind. It would actually take away from the benefit, but I just imagine with me for a second. This guy right here is about 8.5 inches, right? Let's say they do a 9 1/4 inch version or a 9.5 inch version. Basically, like a little bit bigger than, here it is up against the XM24, right? So imagine with me that they do an XL 8020 that's maybe a 1/4 inch longer than the XM24. And let's say they bring the thickness of the scales out to this similar of the XM24, and they either keep the blade stock thickness the same, or let's say they go nuts and they bring it up to a 1/4 of an inch or nearly a 1/4 of an inch. Oh my gosh. I would die. I would pay more money for that, and I don't need it, but the draw to it, because it's ridiculous, right? So much of this, there's so many people that are ready to jump on the critical train. You don't need that. It takes away from the utilitarian benefit. Like, dude, we know. I'm going to point that out. Reviewers are going to point that out. It's not like people are wandering around going, please guide us. We don't know. I mean, okay, like sometimes, like when I was new to this, I just automatically assumed that everything that was more overbuilt was superior, right? So maybe some people could make use of that type of guidance. But most of us know. Most of us that are this deep in it, we know. We're not spending that much. Once you get past the $150 to $200 mark, which is the point of diminishing returns, right? And then I still maintain that this dollar for dollar, the RSK MK1 G2 is about all the knife anyone could ever need, right? Past that, we're all paying for things that are just catering to our personal, desires, or, the aesthetics and the design and the look and the feel. And we're paying for stuff that tickles the senses. A lot of people went, ew. Sorry. Right. But that's what we're doing. I like the overbuilt stuff. Even as a reviewer who can, easily, well, not always easily, but I can, point out when a design makes a lot more sense. Like this F5.5. This is a wonderful, perhaps on the more heavy duty side, but this is a wonderful EDC blade with a great design. There's so many good elements here. So many things that make this a good knife for just day to day, right? There's some spice in there. There's some flavor in there, right? But a good all around functional, purposeful, convenient tool, right? But I still want crazy. Like I looked at this and a lot of people said it in my comment section. They were like, cool, make it bigger. Yeah. Urban EDC, this is great. And it's going to make a lot of people happy. Y'all should definitely do a bigger version. Definitely. Right? Huh? Here, guys? Huh? Here, wait. Let me show you exactly what we should do with this. Ooh, give me one like that. Give me one like that. Right there. Here. Come on. Camera. Here it is. Right here, camera. There we go. Can we see? It's like, no, I don't see it. I don't know what you're referring to. Here, I'll force it. There we go. Yeah, give me one that size. 8 1/4 inches. Oh boy. Could even keep all this the same. Same thickness, right? But I just want it bigger. Why? Make it bigger. To be good. It could almost be, not just like the slogan of my channel, but could be like for a lot of like the knife world, in quotes, cool, make it bigger. It's not often we see cool, make it smaller, right? I did do a video like, I think it was like, knives that are exclusively XL that we need smaller versions of. And in some cases that makes more sense. But the part of us that is interested in this knife world, right, is the same part of us that just has a lot of fun with the crazy big stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be ultra thick. It could just be bigger. For whatever reason, the bigger stuff always makes me laugh. It always makes me happy. When they did the Boker Kalashnikov XL, I got that thing out and I was like, this is just stupid. But it's so cool. It's so dumb. Like, why did we need a massive version of this, right? It's just cool. It's always fun when, how many of you have been to anywhere that sells knives, right? And they sell a model where there is both a large and small version of, right? Let's take the Benchmade Adamas. For For those of you who had never, ever handled it, let's say you walk into a Benchmade dealer and you ask to take a look at the first Adamas that you see, which is the Mini, right? You take a look at it and you're like, wow, this is a little chunky little tank, right? Thick boy. And the guy behind the counter goes, hang on a sec, wait till you handle the big one. Whether you're a big knife guy or gal or not, they get that big one out and you go, that's what all of us do. We all make that same weird sort of like emphysema Santa Claus noise. But we all do that because it's funny. It's crazy, right? And you may not like it enough to spend money on it, but it does create that emotional response, which I think is very, very important when we're talking, if there are designers watching, right? I'm not going to tell you how to do your thing, and I don't know how to run a retail store. I don't know how to truly, let's say I don't know how to make knives, design them. I don't know how to market that. I don't know how to do that. But I think it's safe to say that emotional response is probably the single most important thing when it comes to getting it out there, right? Positive or negative. Emotional response is a big part of it. Take the clip on the Chavez Redemption, for example. I love it. I hate it. It's ugly. It's dumb. It's cool, right? Whatever. Emotional response. People talked about it, right? So they sell them. They're gone. They hit retailers. They are gone, right? That emotional response is a big part of it. If there's no emotional response, then the people who think it's kind of interesting will buy it, and everybody else will just ignore it, right? That thick, massive, overbuilt stuff, right? As funny as it is, all those guys down there in my comment section or in other comment sections going, people who like thick knives are dumb. It's so dumb. Oh, I'm all about the most utilitarian advantage, the most precision, performance. Oh, so dumb, right? That guy that's yelling, all he's doing is just bringing more attention to it. Because people go, what are you, sorry, what are you upset about? Oh, the thick knives. Thick knives are dumb. What do you mean? What does he mean, thick knives? Oh. And what it's like is, here's this guy like, rah, 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 rah. They just get shoved out of the way. And these people are like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Ooh, I like that, right? That's what happens. When something is, I think the stuff that's most properly marketed, stuff that spreads it just spreads like wildfire through the community is the stuff that people have that insane emotional response to. And overbuilt stuff seems to almost always, when I posted this on Instagram, a normal post for me is like, I don't know, like just if we're relating numbers, it's like 650 likes. I posted that and it was double. I was like, look at this big old chunky thing. And people were like, wow, that's what people do. Overbuilt knife, what's the point of this? Overbuilt knives should be much more prominent. I think a lot of makers and designers are missing out. If they have a model that's successful, creating a small run of excessively overbuilt variants of that will likely sell immediately, and it makes it fun, right? Truthfully, I'm kind of sick of seeing here's a new model for the sake, companies are just like, we made a new thing. And it's the same thing you guys have been seeing, but it's a little bit different. But it's 7 3/4 inches to 8 1/4 inches overall. And it's thin behind the edge. And it's easy to manipulate. And it is a liner lock, or it is a frame lock. It is using the appropriate steel great. They're appeasing and I'm not saying me, some of the bigger reviewers, they're definitely doing that. And they're getting people to go, well, that's pretty good, right? Make something crazy. Make something ridiculous, right? That stuff is out there, but it's just not I want to see crazy versions of stuff that it's based around the rumor, the rumor of the XL 8020. I was like, oh man, that sounds so cool, right? And budget companies can take advantage of the same thing. I mean, case in point, Artisan Cutlery. Proponent, the big guy, especially that brass one. They did a titanium one as well. Yeah, people loved that. People loved the brass one a lot more. The brass with the D2 because it was so cheap. You can still get that thing, I think, on Smoky Mountain Knife Works. But yeah, people were like, "That's ridiculous." It's just fun, right? That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong. I feel like massively overbuilt knives could easily make a comeback, and it would be very interesting. This is, of course, just another 20-minute ramble that was born in my headspace, right? So I hope, I mean, the point of this is, as per usual, just entertainment. It's meant to give you guys something to listen to and think about, right? Tell me if you agree. Tell me if you disagree. Overbuilt versions of knives you think would be interesting, or if you just like overbuilt knives in general. I'd like to hear what you guys think down below. I think that's going to be pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go and click on that middle complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.